You'd take your bike and you'd ride old trails, hiking trails, the old coastal trails that connected the old fishing communities.
A lot of people think it's really cool that we have done this. I got a friend in the Navy, he thinks it's so rad that we named all these trails after these historical events that happen in St. John's that many people don't know about.
From the renowned mountains and fjords of western Newfoundland to the dramatic rocky coastline that surrounds the capital city, join me as I discover a world-class network of trails and a passionate mountain biking community right here in my home province. So gear up and get ready to ride the ride. Today I'm on my way down to Freeride Mountain Sports, St. John's go-to shop for anything mountain bike related. While my bike is getting a tune-up, I'm going to speak with Chris Jarrett. He's the OG of mountain biking here in the province. If the weather clears up, we might even get up on the trails for a ride this afternoon. I'm feeling like the new guy in the mountain biking community, and I really want to change that. If anyone can get me up to speed on mountain biking in the province, it's Chris. But before we get to chatting, you have to check out some of the mountain bike films he was a part of in the early days of the sport. These gnarly films were captured in the late 90s and feature some locations you might recognize. Check out the boys absolutely ripping down Signal Hill's North Head Trail with views of Cape Spear in the background. Something you can never get away with today, given this is the busiest hiking trail in town. Hi Chris, so how'd you get into mountain biking?
Mountain biking basically evolved through a couple of different sports, mainly BMX in the 1970s. So I was a BMXer, and I BMX raced in the 1980s. So when the first mountain bikes first started showing up in St. John's, I think they were showing up in a shop called the Outdoor Hut in Churchill Square. I was instantly gravitated to those, and right off the bat, you knew it was going to be something big.
And so did the mountain bike scene exist in St. John's back then?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, there was, it existed on a level where, you'd take your bike and you'd ride old trails, hiking trails, the old coastal trails that connected the old fishing communities. We used those before they became the East Coast Trail system. This was the first initial growth period of mountain biking, and it was all over the world, so it was only natural with our abundance of terrain and land here that it took off right away.
And you go on to race cross country on the world stage downhill at the Canada Cup. How'd you go from being someone who saw mountain biking on the come up to racing there?
So basically, I raced BMX. I was pretty athletic with cycling. I wasn't very athletic in any other sports. I didn't play hockey or anything like that. So when mountain bike racing arose, the first race that I had opportunity to go to was actually the second ever mountain bike world championships, and they happened to be in Quebec. So I went to that first race, and I think I raced Afterward, which is the second class from the very top, elite being the top, and I think I was in the top 15. So I knew then that, this is definitely something here. I moved up the ranks pretty quick, and the second year of racing, I was actually in a World Cup, which is the highest level of racing elite. And so it didn't take very long for me to go from just not mountain biking to right to the top level. 2 years, which would be virtually unheard of in this day and age, right? So
I've been riding for 2 years now, and let's just say I won't be racing in the World Cup anytime soon. Becoming a pro is insanely competitive and requires years of training. Thankfully, the weather broke, so we headed to East White Hills to get a ride in. We linked up with Kaelam Power, an active member of the community and experienced trail builder. Him and Chris have been involved in the construction of more than a handful of trails in the East White Hills. From what I've heard, it's a labor-intensive process. So you guys build all these trails by hand? No machinery, is that correct?
That's right, we have to. I mean, the terrain is not very conducive to accessing with a machine. So we have to be creative. We have to think outside the box.
We can manipulate the land any way we want. If we want it to be technical, if we want a lot of features in a 20-foot section of trail, we can manipulate it a lot easier by doing it by hand. Luckily, the community has grown so much in the last 5 years. We get like average 30, 40 people out on a build night. So it's actually progressed really well. The scale of construction has gone up tenfold within the last 2 or 3 years, just due to the high volume of volunteers.
But once the trail is built, it needs a name, and that's when the boys break out the history books.
We like to, have a little bit of a meaning behind the trail names.
We named all these trails after these historical events that happened in St. John's that many people don't know about.
Such as the subnet, which was the anti-submarine defense net across the Narrows during the war.
The last U-boat in the Atlantic that was surrendered to North America was U-190. It surrendered just off the coast here. Obviously, we needed to name a trail after that. They're linked together like Thorlock. That's the boat that the last U-boat surrendered to. Subnet, obviously, that's one of the coolest names.
And it's actually up there, isn't it?
Part of it is still up there, which is pretty cool, yeah. They have it on display on Signal Hill. Based on the information they got from us, we kind of revived the history of it, the story of it. That brought awareness to it right there.
After spending the morning with Chris and Kaelam, learning about the sport and its history in our province, I'm starting to feel like I can hang with these guys on the trails. Should we talk about the flowy trails versus the rocky trails, or will we wait till we're down there?
Well, these trails are flowy to me because I go a certain speed. So, I mean, like this whole flow, no flow is bullshit, really, in the mountain bike world. So, I meant to tell you that earlier, but it just doesn't matter. Like, to me, they're flowy.
Okay.
I don't know how to flow anything, really, right?
Well, I guess I still have a lot to learn. For the uninitiated, it would be easy to take for granted this trail network and all the hard work that went into designing and building it. It's really unique how you can live in St. John's and in 10 minutes you can be here at the trail, 20 minutes you're up at the top. What sort of factors are you looking for when planning for a trail?
So basically what we build here is what's called a stack loop system. We have a system of loops that you can connect and modify and build your own ride depending on how much time you have, what kind of features you're looking for. To make the connections and build a good ride experience on these stacked loop systems takes a lot of serious planning.
So you guys do a whole lot of bushwhacking to put these trails together.
Yeah.
When you're out there setting up your markers and planning the trails, what sort of things are you guys looking for?
We're looking for interesting features such as this rock feature. We call them control points, and the trail is basically connecting those control points to one another. That's going to make the trail more interesting and give riders different options. So how about we give this rock feature a try?
All right, guys, so thanks a lot for showing me the trails and teaching me a little bit about this network and how it's built. So what do you guys see for the future of mountain biking here in Newfoundland and St. John's?
Yeah, over the years, I mean, I've seen a lot of kids come and go, but I think we got some real good consistency in the youth back in the sport now, and I really think that them coming out helping, building with the trails, riding the trails, entering the races, I think we got a pretty decent future.
Thanks for coming out with us, and we'll see you on the trails.
I knew from the start these guys would be a wealth of knowledge, yet I was still surprised to learn as much as I did. But at the end of the day, what had the greatest impact on me came from Chris and Kaelam's willingness to share their wisdom and expertise with me, the new kid. Learning history shouldn't be about fitting in, it's about tradition. These guys know if they don't pass down their knowledge to the younger generation, the blood and sweat they invested in this sport will eventually be forgotten. I'm honored to now be a part of this tradition, and with any luck, will help grow and carry on the sport. So today we're at the Volkswagen St. John's Enduro Series, race number 3. So I have a couple goals today. Number 1, I want to keep it rubber side down with no crashes. If I was ever going to wipe out, it would be on the next stage.
All right, here we are, stage 4. Dropping in.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Well, that didn't go as planned.